All right, so next we are going to find slope from a table. It's the exact same thing, only now our points are explicitly given in a table. You still only need 2 points, and so as long as you know it's a linear table, you pick whichever 2 you want. And so before I start trying to calculate slope, I always make sure the table is actually linear, meaning there is a consistent rate. Okay, and so my y is going up by 1, and then it's going up by 3 here. Okay, while the x goes up by 1 each time. And so I can't calculate the slope on this because it's not linear. And so watch out for those tricks. We're going to be dealing with lots of different functions, exponential, quadratic, and so not all tables are linear. And so this is a trick question. You can't find slope. Slope is only for linear. This is unproportional or nonlinear. Okay, I'm going to highlight that because that's our answer. Okay, for the second graph, notice the x's are going up by 1, 1, and then we jump up to a 2. Over here, the y is changing. To get from 2 to -1, I would have to subtract 3. And then to get from -1 to -4, I would have to subtract 3 more. And then to get from -4 all the way to -10, I would actually have to subtract 6. Okay, and so this is proportional or linear because for every change in the x by 1, I'm changing the y's by 3. If I change the x's by 2, I then change the y's by 6. And so this is linear, and in fact, you can already see the slope. Remember, slope is the change in y divided by the change in x. That triangle is called a delta, means change in. Okay, and so my change in y each time for these examples, the first 2 points was -3, and my change in x was 1, and so that simplifies to -3. If you want to use the same method we were using on the graphs, you just pick 2 of your favorite points, and so I am going to pick, let's pick, I don't like big numbers, so I'm going to go with 1 and -1 and 0 and 2. Okay, and so I don't want to use those colors. I'm just going to highlight them. We're going to use those 2 points. Okay, and so if I call this x1 and x2, y1, y2, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is -1 minus 2, and then 1 minus 0. Now be very, very careful with the numerator. -1 minus 2. If I'm in debt $1 and then I take away 2 more dollars, I'm now in debt $3. And then 1 minus 0, of course, is 1. And then -3 over 1 is just -3. If you ever have a 1 on bottom, you don't have to write a 1 on bottom. If the 1 is on top, like over here, you do have to write that. 1/2 is not the same as 2, but 2 over 1 would be the same as 2. Okay, and so our final answer for the second one is -3. Okay, and then for the third table, this is going up by 20, up by 20, up by 40, up by 1, up by 1, up by 2. So this is proportional, this is linear. And so we can do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so I'm going to pick this point and this point. So y2, y1. Okay, and so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 gives me 40 on top, 2 on bottom, which we know simplifies to 20. Always simplify your fractions as much as possible, because on a test, if you don't simplify, it's going to be wrong. Right? And then next video, we will do the points.